Welcome to another chilling episode of True Creepy Night Stories. The veil between our world and the other side is thin, especially in the dead of night. Tonight, we delve into the eerie experiences of night shift workers who encountered faces in basement windows. Those who work while the world sleeps often bear witness to things they cannot explain. Turn off the lights, sit back, and prepare to be spooked. Our first story takes us to a desolate office building on the outskirts of a forgotten town, a place where time seems to stand still. It's the kind of place that's lively during the day, bustling with activity, but at night it takes on an entirely different persona. The fluorescent lights hum, the shadows grow long and deep, and the silence is broken only by the creaks and groans of a building settling into itself, almost as if it were alive. This is where our story begins, with a night janitor named Michael, a man who had grown accustomed to the eerie stillness of the place. Michael had been working in the building for years, each night blending into the next. He was a creature of habit, a man of routine, finding solace in the predictability of his tasks. Every night he'd make his rounds, emptying trash cans, mopping floors, and tidying up after the daytime employees, ensuring everything was in its place. He found a strange comfort in the solitude of it all, the quiet allowing him to think and reflect. But on this particular night, something was different, something unsettling. There was a heaviness in the air, a palpable tension that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the building, making the hairs on his arms stand on end. As Michael made his way down to the basement, a dimly lit labyrinth of storage rooms and forgotten files, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, a sensation that grew stronger with each step. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end, and a cold shiver ran down his spine, making him pause and listen intently. He reached the bottom of the stairs and paused for a moment, letting his eyes adjust to the weak, flickering lights that illuminated the basement hallway, casting eerie shadows on the walls. It was then that he saw it, a face in the window of the storage room at the end of the hall, a face that seemed out of place and time. It was a pale, gaunt face with dark, hollow eyes that seemed to bore into his very soul, eyes that held a story of their own. Its expression was one of pure malice, and its lips were curled into a cruel, sardonic smile, as if mocking his fear. Michael froze, his heart pounding in his chest, his mind racing with thoughts of what he was seeing. He couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't tear his gaze away from the horrifying visage that stared back at him through the grime-covered glass, a face that seemed to hold him in place. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the face was gone, leaving behind an eerie silence. One minute it was there, leering at him through the window, and the next it was simply gone, as if it had never been there at all. Michael stood there for a long moment, his breath coming in short, ragged gasps, trying to make sense of what he had just witnessed. He could still feel the icy grip of fear clutching at his heart, and he slowly turned to look over his shoulder, half expecting to see the horrifying face staring back at him from the shadows, but there was nothing. But there was nothing there, just the empty hallway. The hallway was empty, just as he had left it, but the sense of unease lingered. Michael wasted no time in getting out of that basement, his mind racing with fear and confusion. He practically ran back up the stairs, his heart still pounding in his chest. The image of the face burned into his memory. From that day forward, Michael refused to go back down into the basement, the memory of that night haunting him every time he passed the basement door. Our next story takes us to the cold, sterile halls of a hospital, a place where life and death walk hand in hand, where every corner holds a story. Sarah, a young security guard, found herself working the graveyard shift, patrolling the deserted corridors and ensuring the safety of those within. The night was long and the silence deafening. Little did she know she was about to encounter something that would challenge her perception of reality. Sarah had always been a skeptic when it came to the paranormal. She prided herself on her rational mind. She'd heard all the stories, of course, but she'd always dismissed them as nothing more than overactive imaginations and old wives' tales. But as she made her rounds that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The air felt different, charged with an eerie energy. The air was thick with an unseen energy, and the silence was broken only by the rhythmic beeping of machines and the distant murmur of voices over the intercom. It was as if the hospital itself was alive. As she made her way down to the basement level, a place that even the bravest of souls avoided at night, she felt a chill run down her spine. The basement was notorious for its unsettling atmosphere. The basement of the hospital was a labyrinth of storage rooms, old medical files, and a morgue that had seen more than its fair share of death. It was a place where the past lingered, heavy and oppressive. It was a place where shadows danced in the flickering fluorescent lights, and every creak and groan seemed to whisper tales of forgotten tragedies. The walls seemed to hold secrets waiting to be uncovered. Sarah paused at the top of the stairs, her hand hovering over the handle of her flashlight. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. The darkness below seemed to beckon her, pulling her into its depths, but as she took her first step down into the darkness, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Every step echoed, amplifying her unease. As she rounded a corner, her flashlight beam illuminated a small barred window, set into the wall at the end of the hallway. It was a window that looked into one of the old storage rooms, a room that had been sealed off for years. The dust on the window pane hinted at its long abandonment, and that's when she saw it, a face staring back at her from the other side of the glass. It was a woman's face, pale and drawn, with large, dark eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. The eyes seemed to bore into her soul. Her hair was long and stringy, and her lips were pulled back in a silent scream. The expression was one of pure terror. Sarah gasped, her blood turning to ice in her veins. She felt paralyzed, unable to move or look away. She stumbled back, dropping her flashlight to the floor with a clatter. The sound echoed through the empty halls. The face remained in the window, its eyes locked on Sarah's. It was as if it was trying to communicate something, a silent plea. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the face was gone. The window was empty, but the image was burned into her mind. Sarah stood there for a long moment, her mind racing, her heart pounding in her chest. She questioned her sanity, wondering if she had imagined it all. She slowly bent down to retrieve her flashlight, her hands shaking so badly that she could barely hold on to it. The weight of the encounter pressed heavily on her. As she shone the beam of light back down the hallway, she half expected to see the woman standing there, her face contorted in a silent scream, but there was nothing there. The hallway was empty, but the memory of the face lingered, haunting her thoughts. Our final tale takes us to the hallowed halls of a grand old library, a place of knowledge and history, where the past and present coexist in a delicate balance. John, a night librarian known for his love of books and the quiet solace they provided, found himself face to face with a mystery that transcended the pages of even the most ancient tomes. His nights were usually filled with the rustle of pages and the soft glow of reading lamps. But tonight was different. John had always felt a sense of peace within the library's walls, a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. Surrounded by the wisdom of countless authors, he felt a connection to something greater than himself, a timeless bond with the minds that had come before him. But on this particular night, the usual tranquility was replaced with an unsettling unease, a feeling that something was amiss. The air hung heavy, charged with an unseen energy that sent shivers down his spine, making the familiar surroundings feel suddenly alien. As John made his way down to the library's basement archives, a subterranean vault containing rare manuscripts and forgotten texts, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The creak of the old wooden steps seemed louder than usual, echoing in the silence. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist, taking on ominous shapes in the flickering light of his lantern, as if they were alive and watching his every move. Whispers of forgotten languages seemed to emanate from the ancient tomes, their voices beckoning him deeper into the heart of the library's mysteries, urging him to uncover secrets long buried. The basement archives were a place of hushed stillness, the air thick with the smell of aging paper and leather-bound volumes, a testament to the passage of time. John ran his fingers along the spines of the books, their titles whispering tales of forgotten lore and arcane knowledge, each one a portal to another world. As he turned a corner, his lantern light fell upon a small, dusty window set into the far wall, a window that looked out into a forgotten section of the archives, a section long sealed off from the rest of the library. The glass was so dirty that it was almost opaque, and that's when he saw it. A face peering out at him from the other side of the glass, its features barely discernible through the grime. It was the face of a young boy, his eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and fear, as if he had been waiting for someone to find him. His skin was pale, almost translucent, and his hair was a shock of white against the darkness, giving him an ethereal, ghostly appearance. John froze, his breath catching in his throat, unable to look away from the boy's haunting gaze. He had never seen anyone down in this section of the archives before, a place that was supposed to be deserted. It was strictly off-limits, accessible only through a single, heavily locked door, a door that had not been opened in years. The boy's eyes met John's, and a look of desperation flashed across his face, a silent plea for help that tugged at John's heart. He reached out a hand as if pleading for help, his fingers pressed against the dusty glass, leaving smudges on the surface. John felt a surge of concern for the boy, a protective instinct kicking in. What was he doing down here? How did he get in? The questions swirled in John's mind, each one more perplexing than the last. As he took a step closer, the boy's expression shifted, morphing from desperation into something sinister. A change that sent a jolt of fear through John. The boy's eyes narrowed and a cruel smile spread across his face, a smile that spoke of malice and hidden intentions. His grip on the glass tightened, his knuckles turning white with strain as if he was trying to break through the barrier that separated them. John recoiled, a chill running down his spine, his instincts screaming at him to get away. The boy's face was no longer that of an innocent child, but something twisted and grotesque, a nightmarish vision that would haunt John for the rest of his days. Thank you for joining us for these spine-chilling tales of those who dared to work in the night, only to come face to face with the unexplained. The darkness holds many secrets, and sometimes those secrets have faces. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true creepy night stories. Until next time, stay safe and keep the lights on.